So some things you're gonna need, you'll need 3 antifreeze jugs. You're gonna wanna take 2 empty ones and 1 brand new one every day. And a clean bucket. Make sure it's rinsed out, clean, no chunks in it, because we wanna make sure that's not getting into the system. All right, so we're gonna take the antifreeze out. We're gonna take exactly 2 gallons out of the machine. So before you even turn the water onto it, you wanna get the antifreeze out of the hopper. So get the antifreeze drained down so that there's no more water coming in, and then we'll fill the water back up and we'll start to let that get in there and run through the system. The idea is we don't wanna dilute the antifreeze that's there. We wanna chase it through with water. So you're gonna take your 2 empty jugs and you're gonna take 2 jugs worth of antifreeze out of the system. So I always just take the whip, put it in there, and then you're gonna wanna just turn the pump on. Start watching it come out. So you'll hear it start sucking air just a little bit, and then you can go ahead and turn your water on, and you'll start filling that system up. So the system holds, I think it's like 2.5 gallons or 2.6 gallons, something like that. But we want to get the pure antifreeze that's in there out, and then the diluted stuff that's coming in after, we're going to go ahead and let that just be waste antifreeze. Probably not real well in the video. I'll show you a bit more. You can see that it's still really good pure antifreeze coming out at this point. So now we've got 2 good gallons out. Now we're just going to run it into a bucket until the water starts to run clear out of there. So you've still got quite a bit of antifreeze. Quite a bit of pure antifreeze. We're going to let that come through and start getting out of there. Pretty much down to clear water. We're gonna just let that be out. So we took like another 1.5 gallons probably out of there. It's gonna mix a little bit. So typically at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and just throw the hose into the snowbank outside and just let it run for a little bit. So the idea is whenever you're on these job sites, you never want that thing to be stopped. So what you do is get that antifreeze out, throw it in the snowbank, and just let it run. So think anything for stopping can always freeze, so we're always just going to want to let it run through the entire time. All right, so whenever you're getting this thing ready, remember water is always flowing, so what I usually do, hook the first hose up, have the other end thrown in the snowbank, and just flip it back on. You want to just hook, switch, flip the pump back on, let it run. Go get your other hose ready, grab that one, shut the pump down really quick. This is where a second guy comes in handy. Shut the pump down really fast, hook them back up, throw it in the snowbank, go get your next hose ready. So typically you're gonna be running 3 hoses. So make sure that you're getting the 3 hoses ready so that you're ready to start throwing them out right away. Don't let them lay on the ground if you didn't clear all the water out of them, because they'll freeze almost instantly on these colder days. So have one guy holding the hoses and running the pump and the other guy hooking them all up. Alright, so now you've got it all steamed up, everything's ready, and what do you do once you're all done steaming? So the ice cams are off the house, guy hands you down the gun, leave it steaming. If you want, I usually carry them just like this, coming down the ladder, and then get it to the ground and you're going to want to start cooling it off. So you flip that off, we showed you flip it from burner to pump, and then while it's cooling down, what you guys should be doing is going by cleaning out your trucks and trailers. You want to just make sure that your trucks always look nice. This thing's still, even in the cool down, says, you know, we're going from 250 degrees down to, you know, we're still running 100, 150 as it's cooling down, 90 degrees. And that's what most of your hot pressure washers run at. So you don't want to let them stay on the stickers too long. You could feel the stickers. But whenever you're cooling off, you might as well clean your truck up nice, make sure it looks good, and keep it looking sharp between the job sites. So whenever it's getting to where it's starting to cool down, you'll hear it start to sound different. But right now it's going to a liquid form again instead of a steam form. So it goes from kind of a heavy sound where it just sounds like a vapor coming off of there, and then you start hearing the liquid, it's more of a high-pitched sound. And you'll hear the change. Right now it's going back to water. This thing's all where I can hold on to it now again. So whenever it's under steam, you won't be able to touch any of these parts barehanded. But once it's cooled down, now you go ahead and flip that thing off and we'll start getting it winterized. Remember how we talked about always keeping that water flow going? So I just shut off the pump. We're all cooled down, went to off. We're gonna really quickly just disconnect the steamer hose, hook that circulation line back up, turn it back to pump, and just let it spin again. We wanna make sure that water is always flowing through that machine. All right, so you've had this thing circulating, you gotta shut off quick. Now we gotta get the water out of it. So this thing is ran on a float. I've shut the water off. Now you're just gonna turn it on, just to pump and start draining all the water out. So you're gonna wanna drain it until you hear it start sucking air. So it's gonna get down, there's a little filter you can see down at the very bottom of that tank. Kind of tucked in on this side, it's hard to see the foam in the water. But there's a filter with a screen right here. Now listen. Start sucking air. Now we shut that off real quick. Now we're gonna start chasing it with antifreeze. So the antifreeze that you took out, you're gonna put back in the 2 gallons. So I'm just putting in, I've got it in here. We're gonna put it in a little bit. We're gonna start it off like this, and then we're just gonna start running it. And as it's running down, you're gonna put your 2.5 gallons of antifreeze back in. So you remember we took the 2 gallons out of the machine. So you have 2 perfectly good pure gallons that are in there. So you're gonna start with those 2 gallons, you just got that in the bucket, and then you're gonna chase it with 1 more half gallon, and that'll give you a nice, good, clean, pure mix. We're putting that 2.5 gallons of antifreeze in, and we wanna make sure that we have good antifreeze mix throughout the entire thing. Got that in, now we start sucking down, and we'll want to see it start shooting through. So right at that 2.5 gallon mark, it's going to start shooting just a little bit of antifreeze out. You can see it started to turn green. So I've got the 2 gallons in it. We're going to put that extra half gallon in. So we're going to dump in about half of this amount here. So you're going to put about half to 3/4 of this float tank is about the right amount for you. So we're gonna get that in. And then you're just gonna let it run just a little bit more. And you'll start getting good antifreeze. See it switching colors in that bucket over here. So now it's switching over. Now you're gonna shut it off again. And we're just gonna let it circulate. So you put that hose back in and just let it circulate. I ran it down. I've got just the perfect amount so that we don't have a bunch of excess in there. So it's sitting right at the top of the filter. If you run it with that thing full, it's gonna make a huge mess in the back of your truck. So you wanna get it to the antifreeze ran down just to that filter. And then just let it circulate, let it spin, let it keep going while you're finishing packing up. I go wrap up all the rest of the stuff now at this point. The ladder's taken down, get everything cleaned up, and then you're ready for the next job. So when you're rolling these hoses up, as you're rolling them up, like a lot of guys will end up getting them tangled like this. So as you're rolling it, if you twist your hand and flip them over when they're going in, they roll up really nice. Now a lot of guys like to hook them together so they don't make a mess in the truck. The problem is usually that'll freeze together and that'll give you a lot of issues later on. So we just want to get them coiled up nice like this. Then we're going to put the Velcro on them. We've got the Velcro straps and you're just going to strap them together, and we keep these in the cab of the truck the whole time that we're running around. Something that's really handy, whenever you get back to the shop, if you have compressed air, make sure you blow out your hoses and you don't have to worry about them freezing up at the next day at the job site. So we just stick them in there. And get them all blown out, and they're good to go. All right, so a recap of setting up and tearing down the steamer to get ready for ice dams in the winter. You're gonna get the antifreeze out of the machine. So we're gonna power it up. We gotta get water ran to the machine. We're gonna drain the machine out. Then we're gonna start putting water into it. So we're gonna add water and start chasing it out. So you're gonna take exactly 2 gallons of antifreeze out and then switch, throw the hose in the snowbank, let it run out. And you're gonna retain that 2 gallons for later. Then once you get all the water out, we're just gonna start adding hoses, never shutting the pump off, always letting it run. So you shut off quick, hook them up, turn it back on. Shut it off quick, turn it, hook them up, turn it back on. So you're gonna wanna go quick, 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 running through. And then you start getting steam to it, hook the gun on, let it steam up good, and then you're gonna start steaming the ice dam. Now, in the reverse, what we're gonna be doing as you're getting off the roof, you're gonna cool the steamer down. Always let it cool down, because if you don't, that causes scaling even worse, and it can cause damage to the pump. So whenever you shut these things off, they're an open system, but if you're trapping those vapors in there, it can crack things. So we don't want to crack the boiler, the pump, any of the stuff in there. So make sure that you're cooling the machine down good. And while it's waiting to cool down, you might as well clean the truck up good. So just go ahead and wash off your truck or trailer, clean that up. And then you're gonna dump in the 2 gallons that you had taken out of antifreeze from earlier and get that put back in, and then put another ½ gallon on top of that, and you're just gonna let that circulate. So once you've got that 2.5 gallons in of antifreeze, make sure it's got good antifreeze coming out of the line, throw that circulation hose back in, just let it circulate, and then you're gonna tear down all the stuff, get the hose put away, garden hose, pressure washer hose, put those in the truck, and then when you get back to the shop at night, you're gonna wanna go ahead and just blow out those hoses, make sure that everything is nice and clean, dry, ready for the next day, hang up all your gear, make sure that you're set and ready to go, and that's really it. That's a quick version of how to tear down that steamer and get it set back up every time.